welcome to this episode of Fifth Place's podcasts or vlogcasts. I'm Chantel and this is Matthew, and together we work in an organization called Fifth Place, where our mission is to make the world a better place by enabling the how. And what we mean by the how is how to feel less stressed, less anxious, more calm, more at peace, more tolerant, and potentially more accepting. And in our work, we use a process called shape of emotion. And I've got Matthew here, who is going to tell us a little bit about what that all is about. So we're Fifth Place. You've heard the words shape of emotion. You've heard us talk about emotional fitness classes. But where does it all fit in, Matthew? Where does this thing called shape of emotion fit in to everything that we are and we do?
Well, hello, and thank you for taking the time to listen to this little episode. So shape of emotion, I'll start out by giving you the technical definition, or the long verbose one. Well, it's not that long. But shape of emotion is a model, process and tool for how we structure, store and represent and regulate our inner feeling states. The unique thing about, there's many unique things actually, but one of the interesting things about shape of emotion as a model, as far as emotions go, is that it works both with positive emotion and negative emotion, although we prefer to use a slightly broader term, difficult emotions and supportive emotions. And really, shape of emotion is like having a volume control for your feelings. It puts you in the driver's seat where you can control, although we prefer to say manage, your emotions rather than having your emotions manage you. A lot of times we've found in doing this work that people steer away from anything that's related to emotion because it's just too difficult and challenging and hard work and taboo and a mission and so on to deal with your feelings and emotions. So people just find all sorts of interesting ways not to.
So why did we decide to embark on a journey to find something like shape of emotion? Did we actually embark on a journey? How did shape of emotion come about?
Well, there's a bit of irony there, because we say that the world needs to think less and feel more, and yet when we started out, we set out to solve a problem, and the way that we started out endeavoring to solve the problem was through thinking. But we realized, I think pretty early on, that actually thinking isn't where it's at. Given the sheer volume of thinking that takes place in the world, if thinking was going to solve the problems of the world, therefore we'd be living in nirvana without any problems whatsoever. And last time I checked, the world was riddled with all sorts of interesting problems. And to backtrack now, it's a little bit more than 3 years, we found ourselves visiting the dusty halls of under-resourced schools in the townships. And for those of you that are watching this outside of South Africa, townships are, now some of them are more formalized than they were, but they can also be informal places where people have set up residence. And given the legacy of South Africa's past, the township space is one that's typically quite cramped and crowded, and also doesn't have a lot of resources. And we found ourselves in the under-resourced school space and were completely overwhelmed by the amount of trauma prevalent in the school space. And as a result, we decided to see if we could do something about it, because you will know that if you're in a state of trauma, effectively it puts you in the state of fight or flight. And one of the interesting things that happens when you're in a state of fight or flight is that your brain is effectively more closed down, so you don't think as well, because thinking isn't key to survival. And so how well do you think you can learn if you're in a state of fight or flight? Not very. And so we decided to see if we could do something about the trauma in that space. We gave ourselves 3 goals. We wanted to develop something that would work with children as well as adults, because children process emotion differently to adults. We wanted to develop something that works in groups, because the size of the problem is such that if you try and attend to the problem one-on-one, we'll be dead before the problem's even been dented. And lastly, we wanted to develop something homegrown, something South African and African, given the unique history that we have as a country and have as a continent. And so back to you, because I think I've said a lot here. Maybe you want to ask me something else specifically?
Yes, so we've done emotional fitness classes, and people typically know us doing emotional fitness classes. So where does Shape of Emotion fit into an emotional fitness class? And maybe what is an emotional fitness class too?
An emotional fitness class is a 1-hour space for you to come regularly. We do them 3 times a week, and manage the way that you feel. And it's more than just managing. What happens is you get the opportunity to release and let go of whatever it is that's troubling you at the time. And when you do that on a consistent basis, you build your emotional fitness, which is why we call them emotional fitness classes. And so it's not just about talking, and actually there's none of that in the class. We don't talk. It's really just about having the opportunity to feel better in the moment. We say feel better now. And the way that it works is we use a shortened version of Shape of Emotion in the class. We explain how Shape of Emotion works. There's 4 steps to it. And then we work with a difficult emotion and also a supportive emotion. And when we say we work, we actually facilitate the process. We guide the 4 steps of Shape of Emotion. But whoever attends, you, brings along whatever emotion you want to work with. So you might be feeling a bit fed up, a bit depressed, a bit sad, a bit angry, or whatever. And so you bring that feeling, that emotion, and we guide you through the Shape of Emotion process to release it and let it go. Now, it may sound a bit crazy and a bit nuts, and if you've never had the opportunity to connect to an emotion of your choice, and then to feel what it feels like to have it released, then I invite you and recommend you come along to the class. And you don't have to believe in it. It's not a faith-based process. It's not woo-woo. It has deep founding in science. And you just need to be able to feel a feeling. And that is key.
So feeling a feeling is key. What about knowing what that feeling is? So being able to label it.
You don't need to label it. Labeling again is a process of the mind and thinking. And while you may want to label it, and certainly in the beginning, you may find it important to label what you feel, as far as Shape of Emotion goes, it's irrelevant. We actually don't care, neither does Shape of Emotion, what you are feeling, what brought it on, where it comes from. We work with what's called the somatic experience, which is just a really technical way or jargony way of saying the experience of the emotion as it is felt in the body. And we work on the shape or the structure of the emotion, and by changing the shape or the structure of the emotion, you will change the emotion.
Thank you for that. I wonder whether we have answered the question, but I think that that's enough for now, and we can revisit shape of emotion, what it is, what it does, in more depth and in more detail in our next little podcast or vlogcast. So Matthew, thank you so much. Look forward to sitting with you again and talking about our work.
Thank you. It's interesting to sit here and to recount aspects and elements of the journey. I would invite anyone who has more questions to either connect with us, perhaps post them in the comments. We've been doing this, as I said, for more than 3 years now. We know it works. It's not about proving whether it does or it doesn't. As I said, the only condition to it working is to be able to feel. And so if you want to feel what it feels like to release and let go of an emotion of your choice, then we look forward to seeing you in our next class. Thanks a lot, and bye for now.
Bye for now.